Hello, everyone. We are the Gratitude Girls.
The Gratitude Girls are in the house. Hi, Lori. How are you?
Hi, Catherine. I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really excited because this is such a beautiful time of year and I'm just getting all my vitamin D naturally. You're going to be getting some of that Canadian vitamin D soon too, huh?
I will. I'm so excited.
I know. I can't wait to tell everybody about it. Let me introduce myself to our audience in case we have some new guests tonight watching. My name is Catherine Asaro Myers, affectionately known as Rara is in the house. I'm broadcasting to you live tonight from lovely Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada. And I'm here with my amazing Gratitude Girls partner.
I am Lori Del Credecchi, and I am outside of Nashville, Tennessee.
This is an international show. And if you're not too sure about why we're here and why we're doing this particular show, we'll take a minute and we'll talk to you about it. You know, things happen because they're supposed to. They happen the way they're supposed to. Lori tells the story really good. So I'll start it, but she'll go in with the details. I remember standing before I met Lori and thinking, I don't know what's going to happen next. And that feeling was exhilarating. And then when I met Lori, I thought, I can't believe it. I really wanted to meet this woman. So in 2013, Lori and I, I'll let Lori tell the story. She tells it much better than I do.
Yes, I just got done with our promotions, but yes. So Catherine and I met in 2013 on stage in front of thousands of people. And so it was so incredible. But Catherine and I both are in a direct sales company together. And in that company, each year, there is a theme for the year. And then at our international convention, our CEO will give out an award for that theme. And that was picked by nominated by all the peers. So like customers and distributors in the company. And so in 2013, our CEO got up on stage and he's telling all the attributes and accolades of the person that's going to win and kind of makes it kind of secret, you know, of who it's going to be until he announces the name. And so then he says, Catherine. So I'm in the back, I'm the techie person. So I'm like taking video and I'm taking pictures. And then a few minutes later, he says, well, for the first time ever, and it was the only time, excuse me, since then, there was a tie. And so he started telling about the second person. And I kept thinking, I've been in this company a long time. I can't figure out who it is. And then all of a sudden he said my name. So Catherine and I met on stage in front of thousands of people. And it was like one of those things, you know, once we met, we both, I think, had that attribute without knowing it, that nothing happens just for coincidence, that there's always a reason for everything. And the theme was gratitude for the year. And we were both girls. So we decided Gratitude Girls was the name of our new company, like literally within 2 minutes. We didn't know at the time what we were going to do with it. And now here we are, like 12 years later, and we've done thousands of shows and coachings and speaking engagements and retreats.
You know, I remember, Lori, I was standing on stage and my knees was sort of like wobbling, you know, and Lori is too humble. She's very humble to tell you. Lori was recognized in our company for giving the most gifts. And I knew that about her. I just didn't know who Lori was, but I knew that she was acknowledged for this amazing feat. And when her name was mentioned, I thought, oh, there's the woman that gives all those gifts. Excuse me. What does Lori do like 2 minutes after she meets me off stage? She gives me a gift, which is in my peripheral vision at this moment. So Lori comes by it naturally. She truly is someone who gives. And when I stood next to her, I felt something. We walked down the stairs and we actually touched hands. And it was that moment, like that love at first sight, in whatever way that was, in a family way, in a sister way, in a sisterhood way, in a community way. We built our community right there by being introduced to one another. So you're watching this show because tonight we were brought together by fate. And when we were brought together, we decided to leap into that fate. And we have faith that we will share the stories of our guests from all over the world and their gratitude stories. And tonight is no exception. We have amazing friends and colleagues. And tonight we have another amazing friend and colleague with us. I'll tell you a little bit about her. I guess you'd say I have a frog in my throat. 1 second. Excuse me, thank you. Our guest tonight is Margaret Boersma. She's an expert in emotional intelligence and has had a varied career in educational spanning over 35 years. As an educational consultant, trainer, and speaker, Margaret brings her knowledge of emotional intelligence, EQ, to help families, schools, and workplaces achieve their goals by assimilating people skills into their lives. Margaret has undergone extensive training in social and emotional learning, the arts, and brain-compatible teaching methodology. I'll let that one sink in. Through her innovative training and coaching programs, Margaret enhances leadership and communication skills, empowering teams to reach their full potential. Margaret has co-authored a chapter entitled, what else? EQ. EQ is the new IQ in Brian Tracy's recent book, Emerge, and is currently working on her own book, The Dynamic Teaching Model. Margaret's experience in teacher training spans across various countries, including Canada, the United States, the Netherlands, Brazil, India, and New Zealand, Australia. We have links where you can learn about Margaret and all of her work. And I'd like to say something personal about Margaret before we start our interview. You know how some people are a person of their word? Well, Margaret really is. There's a 1-year waiting list to be on our show. And about a year ago, we booked Margaret. And Lori and I believe in faith. When you say yes, we believe you. And Margaret knew that there would be no question and communicated and was right here as if we had had extensive conversations, because she's a woman of her word and she believes that her word is important. Margaret, welcome to the Gratitude Girls Show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Tell us a little bit about, this is a butterfly. Tell us why we're looking at a butterfly.
The butterfly represents transformation. So like a caterpillar spins a cocoon and then emerges as a butterfly. And I love to watch people transform and to ignite that transformation.
That's beautiful. We have a very deep feeling about a hummingbird in our family for personal reasons. So, Lori, do you have any particular thing that you have near and dear to your heart?
Well, my just biggest thing is my signature is pink and pink with sparkles.
It is, yeah, that's right. Your brand is Pink and Sparkles. That's right. My husband and I met over a hummingbird. So that really gives us, that feeling whenever we see one. It just keeps reminding us. And whenever we see pink, we think of you, Lori. You've really totally owned that brand. We love it. So Margaret, if for our audience who might want to know where you are in the world, we spoke about this year in Toronto, Canada. We're not far from Toronto. Are you from this part of the world?
I'm from Nova Scotia. I was born and raised in Nova Scotia, and my parents immigrated from Holland.
So how would you explain to our audience You work with teaching, right? You teach people, you teach teachers. How would you explain to our audience how you got into this business?
I was a teacher for my entire career, and I have a real heart for teachers and what they go through, and a real heart for kids. I struggled as a kid in school, and I guess that's where my big calling came from. I feel like I have a calling right now, and it's a wild adventure, mind you, becoming an entrepreneur after teaching all my life, but it's so worth it. When I do workshops with, with people, the light bulbs go on just like they do with the kids. It's no different. When someone learns something for the first time, their eyes light up, and that's what gives me my biggest joy.
There's so many things about businesses and entrepreneurs and how excited we are when our offerings land in the right place. Let's talk about the kids, because the children, they don't really know what we know as adults, that, we recognize that this is what we want. Can you explain a little bit about what would the situation be for the children? What are they experiencing before they come into your realm?
Most kids have really big emotions they don't know how to deal with. They fly off the handle easily, but then a lot of adults do too, because they don't really have the skills either. And wouldn't it be better to thoughtfully respond to something than to quickly react? And so that's the skills that I teach, and I help teachers and parents to teach those skills step by step, just like you would teach numeracy and literacy.
So Margaret, I want to focus on the problem of the children, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I know you can solve it. So if somebody's sitting here tonight and they have one child at home or 6 children at home, and they're thinking, okay, I know what you can do, but how do I know if one of my children is a candidate? You mentioned a few things. Can you mention the characteristics of what we can look for as a mom, as a grandmother, as an aunt, as a neighbor, as a friend? What will we recognize in these children? And what are these children feeling?
A lot of them are feeling anxious or depressed. A lot of them react, they blurt out, they are impulsive, but not in a positive way, or they're completely withdrawn. Either way, they're in the ditch, and we want to get them in the middle of the road, really.
How did they get there? How did they get to that point?
Sometimes it's different environmental situations than adults don't, like a simple thing that adults could do, and they often don't, they just don't know how to do this. If there's an argument between you and your spouse, for example, the child, being little, takes it personally, because they're born self-centered at that age, and they need to be told specifically, this is not your fault. Otherwise they assume it is. And then they have big emotions, and they're triggered with certain things that come up in the future in conversations or even a look, and it'll remind them of this situation. They may not even be aware of it, but then they'll react really harshly and much bigger than the current situation calls for.
Right. So there's a child who would be in a situation, something will happen, and they're experiencing this. What about trauma? What are some of these children? What are the signs we can look for to recognize these children?
Kids who they seem to have a behavior change from before. Like before, they might have been more happy-go-lucky, and now they're keeping things to themselves, or they're having big outbursts on a fairly regular basis. Those are definitely signs to look out for.
How old are these children that we're talking about?
Any age, right to adult, right to 100 years old. Like, honestly, there's a lot of children walking around in adult bodies because emotionally they haven't matured. They're stuck. They're stuck where emotionally they can't mature any further because of trauma often.
Okay, we'll go to that next stage of children next, the older. So the small children, and we'll stay there for 2 more minutes. The parents and the aunts and the grandparents who are looking at children or neighbors, they're recognizing these characteristics. The children are not able to explain what it is. They're somehow a victim of being a bystander of arguments or something that's traumatic for them. And then it triggers them later on in life. So could you explain a little bit about how young could this child start to have been affected? At what age?
Any age, baby as well. A lot of us, I talk a lot about lenses between age 3 and 5. Something happens where we feel out of control and we make a decision about ourselves. A decision such as, I'm not lovable. So if 2 parents are arguing or 1 parent leaves or even smaller things, kids will decide that in that moment. And it's like putting on colored lenses. And we wear those colored lenses all through our lives. And the longer we wear them, the less we realize we have colored lenses on. And it's confirmation bias. So then we look for evidence that our belief in ourselves is true. And we ignore evidence to the contrary.
So as children, would they actually be children who, do they manifest physical problems?
What do you mean by that?
Would a child who's experiencing this trauma, would there be a manifestation of some problem as a result of their inability to, or their ability to think it's because of them, or, you know, they're wearing these glasses? Like what happens to
these? So I'll give you a specific example. I'm not lovable is something that a child could assume if a parent walks out, or if, you know, they assume that when there's a split in the relationship of their parents, it's their fault, even though it's not logical, but it's because of they're self-centered at that age. And then they go through life finding evidence that they're not lovable. And then later when they want relationships or friendships even, they seem to grow close to a certain extent and then push them away. And they break things up before it happens to them. And then they find another relationship that's similar. And so they go around, you know, meeting the same person really over and over again, and they don't understand why it's not working. But really they're sending this vibe out or this energy out that, you know, they're not lovable. And so they stop it before they get hurt.
Right. Okay. So they're young, and now we'll go to the next phase. So they carry this on. So now I guess we could talk about teenagers, and then we'll go to adults, because you said this can carry on, right? So what would a teenager possibly be doing to act out?
Well, teenagers do what teenagers do. They often like to keep things secretive from their parents because their peer groups are more important. And so, but they sometimes don't even have close connection with people in their peer group, and sometimes it's an unhealthy connection. And so and then there's substance abuse that can go along with that, or a lot of teenagers are struggling with addiction, screen addiction, including pornography. It's incredible. And so kids who are trying to forget about their inner turmoil are, you know, constantly focused. But even kids who aren't traumatized are getting addicted to screen. And so are a lot of adults. And it really takes away from having genuine friendships that are face-to-face. Teenagers are often too scared to face their friends. They'd rather stand in front of them and text them because this real interpersonal stuff is too scary.
So this is a very nice progression that you're explaining to us, because now we can recognize that teenager, right, who's like addicted to the screen. What about, let's go to students, maybe university age, before we go to like the adults. So what would happen in that case? What would we be looking for if this is one of our relatives or neighbors or friends?
They may not have self-regulation when it comes to organizing their time. Often parents organize their time until they go to university, and then, oh, freedom. And so they like, a lot of them like to party. They don't have practice from their earlier days under their parents to regulate their schedule so that they can get their work done and have fun stuff as well. And so that self-discipline is often missing.
It's fascinating, right? Because then you said, of course, as adults. So the reason why I was asking you so many pointed questions is what you do, the work you do is so important, so specific. Of course, we want to speak about you and your life, but if anybody's watching this show tonight and they recognize any of these signs in children or teenagers, students or young adults, that this would be a show to watch again and to speak with you. I'm sure Lori has some questions for you. So my head is just thinking about all the 100 more questions I would ask you. Lori, by all means, if you have a question for Margaret.
Yes, I have a few, same thing.
Mhm.
So, first one, so you can help people. It doesn't have to be in person, right? You can talk to people through a Zoom just like this, right? To where you
Right.
can be able to help people. And then two, kind of going on the same note that Catherine was going was, so for adults that may not recognize that they even have an issue, like what if somebody thinks, oh, well, I'm pretty good, but they might recognize that they have issues in certain areas or whatever, right? But other than that, they're pretty good. So, but maybe they have, like what you said, that one of those issues from when they were 3 and their parents got divorced or something like that. So what are some attributes for an adult that they could look like at their self and do kind of a self aspect,
Mhm.
inventory
Mhm.
that they might need to reach out to you?
Yeah, so for adults, they may not know practical skills, for example, how to self-regulate themselves. That's really important because if they fly off the handle, they're going to ruin their work relationships and others, their relationship with their kids. So if you have any signs that you're having trouble connecting with your kids or anybody in your life, that's a sign. Also, there's emotional signs around like procrastination. That's an emotional reaction. Like most of us have said this stuff. It's not the exceptional person that has, but we're not often as adults. A lot of us feel like we're on a treadmill, do, and then we don't pay attention to who we are being. And that's what's most important when you're relating to someone. And we relate to our family members and we relate. So if there's a lot of disconnect, or if you're feeling disempowered and you blame the situation and the circumstance around you, then come and talk to me. Because it isn't the situation. There's other people in the world with the same situation, and they're feeling very empowered with who they are and how they're contributing to their families and to their work. So that's a really key factor right there. It's mindset. A lot of it's mindset, but it's also self-care. And it's also just having the right strategies to deal with situations when they come up. Like, how do you calm someone down in one sentence? How do you watch that emotional temperature go down so that you can actually start to problem solve? Instead, what do? We problem solve first on top of this emotional high, and nothing happens. We go like this and it gets worse.
Right. Okay. And then one last question. So, this is the Gratitude Girls show. So everybody has like tons of things that they're grateful and thankful for in their life. And so we're not asking you, of course, to single any certain one person or thing or story out. But if you could share just one story with the world of something in your life, a little story that you're grateful and thankful for, will you share that with us?
Yeah. Okay. So this is where I'll start with, I am grateful that I am in the position I am in right now to help others. And I got there through misery. As many of us who are helpers now, right? We have to overcome our own stuff to be a guide for others. So I'll take you back to that beginning story if you like. Yeah, it started when I was a child. So I'm 11 years old and I'm standing on the doorstep And I overhear my mother on the phone, and I know she's talking about me when she says, she just can't learn. And I think about every night she helps me with homework, and it's spelling and math and reading comprehension. And I just felt so frustrated. I missed a lot of playtime because I might fail a grade if I don't get this help and get this homework done right now. And it was all reading, answering comprehension questions, or listening to the teacher, memorizing and regurgitating on a test. Much later, I found out I don't learn that way. And so I became a teacher to change the education system. And I figured out in my 30 plus years of teaching how to reach all kids and not just those who learned easily that way. And so I'm really grateful that I get to be one of those teachers that can make a huge difference in how people learn. And I do it through structured play, because kids learn innately through play. And if we ignore that and make them sit and listen to us every day, or however, and most of the teachers actually in the systems may have been A students and been able to learn well that way. And then the expectation subconsciously can be, all kids can learn this way. What's wrong with these kids? And I almost failed every grade after grade 4. So I know it was a real struggle. And so we have to find ways to reach all kids. Anyway, so I'm grateful for the misery now.
Margaret, thank you to be able to open up to that and give us a chance to really think about ourselves as you're sharing that. Maybe there was something we blocked out, and our audience who's listening thinking, oh, I didn't think much of that at the time, and maybe it is the reason. Now, there's a part of our show that we develop trust, and we did that very instantly with you, where we like to hand the mic over to you, and we like to say, Margaret, here it is. Here's the mic. So would you like to ask Lori and I a question, unrehearsed, to our audience? We have no idea where this is going to go, so this is complete and total trust. Please ask us a question. Let us know who it's directed to, and we'll be happy to answer you.
It's directed to both of you. And the question is, I haven't really formulated it, so I'll do it right now. The question is, how were you able, or do you have secrets that you wouldn't mind sharing about building your audience for Gratitude Girls, which I'm sure impacts your paid businesses as well? So the question is, how did you build such a huge audience?
Who are you asking first? Because there's 2 of us here.
Let's ask Lori first.
Okay. So, well, there's lots of different ways. And one huge way, of course, is through the company that Catherine and I met with, through Send Out Cards. We send cards every day. I send out several hundred cards every single month, and I have for 20 years now. And that's keeping in touch with not only clients and customers, but friends and family and people I get to know. I try to get their address. I try to connect with them on the different social media channels. So whichever ones I'm on, which I'm really on all of them, or pretty much all of them. But so that way, whichever ones the other people are on, they can follow me on whichever channel that they prefer, right? And I try to interact with people throughout all those channels, not only as Lori Del Gradecki, but also as Gratitude Girls. And we reach out, all of our promotions for Gratitude Girls not only go on all of our Gratitude Girls social media, they also go on all our personal social media, as well as our website. And we also have business cards that we pass out in person. We talk to people in person about being a guest on our show, like you, as well as just inviting them to watch shows, inviting them to our retreats, inviting them to check out our speaking engagements and what we offer. If they own a company and they want us to come speak at one of their events. So throughout all those ways, we just like, I have different tips and tools and strategies of where I keep track of how I talk to people and when I talk to people and how I've touched them. Our card system automatically keeps track of that for us, and that's amazing. And then I keep track of all my social and things also separately. So that's a few ways, and I'll let Catherine tap off of that.
Okay, yes, awesome. So there's a little secret within a secret. One of the secrets is I have a reason for sending cards, and that is in honor of my parents, my late parents' anniversary. I started to send cards every day to honor and remember them.
These are not electronic cards, right? These are
No, these are physical greeting cards through send out cards with gifts. So it's difficult to celebrate when you might be sad. And I wanted to find something that I could celebrate and not be sad about. And their wedding anniversary was something that I thought would be an amazing event because they got married, and because they got married, ultimately I was here. So I started to send cards for that reason. And every day I send a card, I celebrate them and the day that they got married. So that's an organic reason of why I build that business with those relationships, with those people using the cards, just like Lori. It's organic, it's very authentic to me. And I send people cards because I'm honoring my parents. And then it builds a relationship. So that secret is the secret within the secret, that absolutely nothing could change that for me. There is nothing anyone could say about a card or receiving a card that would change that my heart is doing that to reach my parents.
Wow.
So that's an unstoppable posture for me.
Yeah.
From there, we build Gratitude Girls. And so it's unstoppable for me. There is nothing that can shake how I feel about what Lori and I do for the world, because it comes from a deep soul position for me. And the lovely people that we meet resonate, they're aligned, they resonate with us, they align with us. And like Lori, we speak to a lot of people, you know, we do, we like it. We like to talk to people, we like to speak and teach and train like you. We have a mission. Yeah. And our mission is to teach gratitude. And you think, well, you know, why do you teach gratitude? Well, why do you teach swimming? You know, at what level could you be a swimmer? Well, you could be in the Olympics. Well, you could be in the Olympics with gratitude also. So we continue to teach that at the level of, I know that, I do that, and then we go deeper. And we continue to go deeper with those who are open to it. So the real secret is to be a scout for those who are ready to go deeper.
Cool. I like the way you said that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Actually, it's funny. I'll just tell you something that I wrote this down today. The closer we get, the bigger our future gets.
The closer we get to what?
Closer we get, the bigger our future gets. That's a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. You know, if someone's watching tonight and they want to know a little bit about you, not what you do in your skill set, but tell us a little bit about what happens in the course of a day for you. Do you sleep until 12 and then take a nap at 3? What's life like for you, Margaret?
I get up and go swimming 3 times a week at 7 in the morning. And then I'm back at my desk after that, and I put in a full day of work as an entrepreneur. So that includes a little bit of social media. It usually has to have a creative component. So right now I'm putting my my program on video, very short videos for each module. And so I need to have some creativity. And before you know it, the day's over. And then after supper, I work another hour or two sometimes. And then I watch TV with my husband or call a friend or have a talk with my son. He's an adult now. So once in a while, he'll talk with his mom.
Is there anything that you would like to speak to an entrepreneur, the entrepreneur who's watching tonight, about the challenges of entrepreneurship that, you know, if you just mention it, they'll think, okay, it's not only me, I'm not the only one who's alone, and how you overcame one of those challenges?
Overcame is past tense. I would say it's ongoing. I was a teacher. I knew nothing about being an entrepreneur. Every day is learning. So I think one way I am overcoming it is to just have an open mind that everything is learning, and some things I really love to learn. And technology is, I wouldn't put it in that category. However, I'm opening my mind and learning. So I think the biggest thing about being an entrepreneur for me, and maybe for a lot of entrepreneurs out there, is that there's no guidebook. Do this first, then this, then this, then this. And so it's either a trial and error guessing game, or it's pay for courses, some of which are very expensive.
Thank you. Lori and I can speak to that part as well through our private coaching business. But what's really important is to know that we're not alone as entrepreneurs, that whatever we're experiencing, we're all experiencing it. We have in the past, and sometimes it just creeps around the corner again. Like, I thought I challenged you and thought I conquered you, and there you are again, reminding me that there's another level of swimming. There's another level of gratitude, and there's another level of going through something, right? It's like,
right.
So thank you for that. Is there anyone in your life, before we wrap up the show and Lori, hang out with us, Lori and I will speak to our audience about a few things. Is there anyone that you would like to give a message to tonight, just off the top of your head? Maybe they're not watching right now, but they might be later. Something you'd like to say to someone?
Like someone specific, or a group of people?
Leave it up to you, whatever.
I want to encourage the teachers and the parents out there. I believe that we always doing our best, even though it doesn't look it to someone else maybe. With the information and the knowledge we have in the moment, we're doing our best. And let's be open to, hey, if it's not working, I'm okay to reach out and get some help. I deserve it.
What a great message. I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's a fantastic message. Margaret, stay with us. Thank you so much for being with us in the Gratitude Girls. Your butterfly is inspiring. It's beautiful. Your smile is very inspiring as well. And you're doing great work. And we're very happy that you're helping the children and the family and the teenagers. You made some amazing points about what that means when that child is really stuck on the screen and what they could be watching and learning that we don't want them to learn. So thank you for that. It's scary. It's a scary world out there when we're not aware. And when we are aware, we have tools that we can use. So thank you. Thank you for that. Lori, let's talk a little bit about our audience now who's watching and thinking, I want to be Margaret. I want to be on the show. What could people do to hang out with us on the Gratitude Girls show?
Yes, absolutely. So go to our page at facebook.com/gratitudegirls. Make sure to like our page, follow it, and hit the message button there. Send us your gratitude story. Tell us all your information, how to contact you, and why you want to be on our show. And be patient also, because we do have about a 1.5 year waiting list. So, but get us your story, tell us why you want to be on our show. And like I said, make sure to leave your contact information, the best way to contact you. And we will get back with you and let you know when we can feature you.
Yes, and 2 things I'd like to mention. If you don't have a Gratitude Girls journal, go on to Amazon and please check that out. Think about every day that you write in your journal. If you wrote in your journal every single day for 365 days a year, which brings me to our retreat, if you wrote 5 things that you're grateful and thankful for in detail, not just I'm grateful for my beautiful house, I'm grateful for my car, I'm grateful, in detail, those journals will actually be legendary for you. They will be something you can look at one of those moments where it might be a cloudy day or a dark day. You might want to leave that to someone in your family to look at in case they're not having a great day. We often recommend read this book. What about read my gratitude journal? Maybe they're in that. So I invite you to look at the 100 days of writing with the Gratitude Girls in our journal, and then think of 365 days, because on September 9th, we'll be in Niagara-on-the-Lake with our Gratitude Girls 365 retreat. If you have any questions about that, we'll put some information in the link below. And we have some special offers about that. I won't talk about it now, but you can hang out with us on our business page and you'll see some more. So about 365 days, what a difference a day makes. I'm sure that after working with Margaret for a day or a year, you will see results. Working on ourselves and with ourselves, we will see the transformations. So let's talk about that at our next retreat. Lori, thank you for being my partner. And thank you for holding my hand when we got off the stage. Margaret, it's been a pleasure to have you here with us. Keep up the fantastic mission that you have in helping families all over the world.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you everybody for being here with us. Make sure to follow us on all social media. See all Margaret's links below this video and comment what you liked best about the video. See you next month, everyone.
Have a good night. Ciao.